I'm talking with Terri Duda, an experienced bankruptcy attorney about bankruptcy matters. Terri, let's say I receive a foreclosure notice. What can I do?
Well, David, if you get a foreclosure notice, you still have plenty of time. The mortgage company is required to give you 4 weeks notice. So you will typically get it's certified, a certified letter from the mortgage company with a sale date. The sale date's always going to be the first Tuesday of the following month. So you have 30 days, even if after you get that notice, to do something. And usually at that point, the only thing that you can do besides coming up with all the money to get your mortgage current is to come in and talk to a bankruptcy attorney about possibly filing a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Chapter 13 bankruptcy is a repayment plan, so you're going to keep your house. So it is pretty much the only bankruptcy option that you would want to consider, unless you do want to ultimately surrender your house. Then you could do a Chapter 7. It would still stop the sale, but it gives you 4 more months in your house. So it gives you time to save your money, to find a place to live, put a deposit down on a place to live. But as soon as you get one of those letters, you really should come in.
Well, let's say I receive a repossession notice on my vehicle.
Well, you're not really going to receive a repossession notice. What's going to happen is if you fall behind in your car payment and you're more than 1 or 2 payments behind, your creditor typically hires a repossession company. And we call him the repo guy. Everyone's heard of the repo guy. So a lot of times people will tell me, well, the repo guy left a card on my doorstep, or the repo guy is parked down the street. I know they're looking for my car. It's definitely, you need to get in and talk to a bankruptcy attorney, because until you get a case number, you're not going to be protected. And I will tell people, keep your car in a locked garage, or exchange your car with a family member who doesn't live nearby, so that you can keep that car away from the repossession company. The bad thing about getting your car repossessed is that it's hard to get it back. In some cases, we can definitely get it back, but it takes 3 weeks. If you've had another bankruptcy, or it's one of those independent buy here, pay here lots, it may actually be hard to get the car back, period, because the buy here, pay here lots typically don't pay attention to bankruptcy court. So it's always best to come in when you fall 2 payments behind on your car and get your options. The one great thing about bankruptcy as a tool to help you with your finances is that you can actually get a lower car payment. If you've owned your car for 2.5 years, then we can do what's called a cram down. So if your car is worth less than what you owe on it, we can get your payment lower, and you only have to pay the value of the vehicle back over 5 years in a Chapter 13 repayment plan.
What about garnishment of my wages?
Garnishment of wages happens when you have a judgment against you. Now, some people will tell me, well, I never got notice. All of a sudden, my employer's telling me they're going to put a garnishment on my wages. Well, it's probably because your creditor tried to serve you and couldn't find you. Service of a summons is typically the first step that a creditor will take in order to garnish you. So if you receive a summons, and that is when a sheriff, deputy, or police officer comes to your door and serves you with a paper and it's clearly marked summons, you're being sued on a debt. That doesn't mean you have a judgment yet, so you can come into the office and we can stop the process so that the debt never becomes a judgment. Once it becomes a judgment, that's when they can send that letter to your employer. It's called summons of continuing garnishment, and your employer has to respond. If your employer doesn't respond, they get into trouble with the court. So it's something though that we can stop. So if your employer gets the garnishment and starts the garnishment, we can still file a bankruptcy to stop the garnishment. So there's two things we can do. We can prevent a garnishment if you come in with a summons, and we can stop a garnishment if you've already reached the point where it's coming, the money's coming out of your check. And it is 25% of your gross wages in most cases that your employer is taking out of your check and sending to the court to send to your creditor's attorney. So it's never too late to come in. So even if it started on your wages, definitely come in and talk to a bankruptcy attorney.
What about general harassment?
Oh, that is so stressful for people. And I tell you, it has become extremely aggressive, the collections actions I've seen lately. In my 11 years of practicing bankruptcy law, I have seen some really, really horrible tactics lately. I had a woman who had a serious medical condition, multiple sclerosis, and she was an elderly lady, and she got served with a lawsuit for theft by deception from a creditor who she only owed $400 to. They claimed in the papers they filed with the court that she deceived them simply by not paying the debt. That's a lawsuit that can really scare people, and it scared her so much that she actually felt ill, and that's not good when she's already got, a serious medical condition. So creditor harassment is a big topic these days. There's not a lot of teeth in the law, and so I have heard stories from people about creditors calling them at work constantly. That's going to put your job in jeopardy. You don't want to, subject yourself to getting your boss angry. So when the calls start coming on a frequent basis, it's a really good idea to come in and talk to a bankruptcy attorney to see if you qualify for bankruptcy, to stop all those calls. And most people are going to qualify for bankruptcy, whether it's a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13. There's only certain restrictions if you filed too many cases in the past year that you wouldn't be able to file a bankruptcy. So we can stop creditor harassment. We can stop a repossession of a vehicle. We can stop a wage garnishment, and we can stop a foreclosure sale. So those are all things that people come to me about in my practice.
Well, thank you, Terri. This has been some very good information. We'll have to take it and think about it. We appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you.